Oh, dude, we need to talk about this. This is like one of the magical moments that makes this record for me. Okay.
You know, Brent, I gotta say, I think, I think I'm becoming a Rush fan.
Oh, really?
I can tell you, like,
Okay.
yeah, I'm getting through. I'm not through all their albums, but
Yeah.
like, I am been through the first one,
Yeah.
Rush,
The very first
Fly
one.
By Night.
Okay.
Yeah, very first one, the Fly By Night.
Yep.
And Caress of Steel.
Ooh,
I know that people might not have been into that one.
it's a tough one.
I'm into that one.
No.
Like I am digging. I'm Farewell to Kings.
Really?
Yeah, I am just like, I'm kind of on a bit of a Rush tip here, man. I am.
Do you want to bring a Rush song onto the show, or a Rush album onto the show? Should we go
I don't know.
back to
I don't know
Rush?
if I'm ready for that.
Okay.
It's a lot. So it's a big.
This is like an
Big
extracurricular
leap
thing you're doing on the side. You're cheating on the
basically,
show.
yeah.
I'm
Pretty
kidding.
much. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to mention that because Moving Pictures was obviously fantastic. So I had to go back and listen. And like the first album is great. Like it's like what a rocking album. But then you start
quite
getting
different
into
though, right?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I love it. That's what I love about it. Because then you just like, even just in Fly By Night, like you just start to get different, like you start to get the Rush feel like right away.
Yep.
Which is a very short time for them to turn around and be like, this is us.
So in your estimation, what is the greatest learning? What's the coolest thing you've stumbled upon on this show?
I think the fact of like the amount of time, and energy that bands have had to put into making, like, getting great like they are.
Mm-hmm.
However, also this like innate sense of greatness that they have within themselves. They like, we're going to talk about Queen and we're going to talk about this, I'm sure. But just like when you think about Rush and Van Halen and Springsteen and Metallica, like all these people that we're talking about, they're big for a reason. You know, I do a lot of listening to the little guy. I like checking out the indie bands. I like checking out like the not so knowns, right? I don't know how back in the day. I don't know the not so knowns from back in the day. But that's what I like doing. And so when I think about these larger bands, I'm kind of like, you know, it's mainstream. It's what everybody knows, what everybody hears. And, you know, but obviously there's a reason for that. And I think I'm just kind of discovering that reason for a lot of these other bands. But I guess the other part I'm discovering is these bands are so much more than their radio hits. And it blows my mind every time I listen to a band because of a song that I know, but I'm tired of. And I'm like, geez, they wrote all these other songs. You have to write all these other songs, and all these other songs are amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and you do that for 3 or 4 albums.
Mm-hmm.
What? Like that's why I'm saying, like, yes, you do. There is a lot of time. There's a lot of buildup for them. But at the same time, there's just something ingrained in these musicians that make them great. And that's what I'm kind of, I don't know if it's discovering but just understanding.
So you're kind of almost fleshing out this kind of new dimension, right? Really?
Yeah.
Which is really something that I'd kind of hoped would happen here, quite honestly. So you listen to, you know, like AC, Back in Black's a great example, right? So everybody knows You Shook Me All Night Long. Some people don't know What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Some people don't know Giving the Dog a Bone. Like, you know, I mean, there's greater examples of very deep cuts on records, but when you listen to the album and not just, yeah, I know that song by that band, when you dig in and listen to like Live With Me by the Rolling Stones, and you get something out of that, there's an expansion of breadth there that is so rewarding, right?
Aerosmith.
Oh,
you go
yeah.
beyond Sweet Emotion. You go beyond even Back in the Saddle again. Like, I know, like, still a great tune, but you go beyond those songs that they're known for. I couldn't believe it.
I'm so glad that you're getting that out of this. It's thrilling for me. It really is to like even see the look in your eye, like when you talk about these songs. It's like really, really cool.
Yeah.
So that is the basis of this show, literally.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also starting to understand why people are like inspired by these musicians and want to go out and write or kind of try and be like them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, don't be inspired. Don't try and be like them, right? These people weren't trying to be anything other than themselves. And I think that, again, Queen is going to be probably a good case study on that. So,
one of the best.
Man, let's get into it. Sheer heart attack. Where do I start? Can I start?
I am so excited to talk. Yeah, I'm super like. There's a lot to talk about with this record. I love this album, and I'm really excited, and I'm glad that you're excited to talk about it too. You can start.
I feel like I discovered music for like the very first time in my life listening to this album.
I knew you were going to love this. Like, this is, what's really cool is that when I suggested it, I went away and I thought, like, he's going to freak out when he hears this record.
No brainer on
I
this.
Knew you would.
Holy smokes, man. There are melodies and notes I never knew existed.
Right.
Before listening to this. And also, again, just not, like, same with Black Sabbath. I didn't really realize that was what I was going to get from Black Sabbath. I didn't realize this is what I was going to get from Queen. Mm-hmm. You know, I know Killer Queen. Obviously, I know Bohemian Rhapsody. Mm-hmm. Again, all of the songs that everybody friggin' knows.
Yeah.
This is not what this band, at least this album, has shown me about this band.
No, not even close. The firepower that this band has is staggering in my mind. When you think about, and this record, the reason why I picked this record is because it's a perfect example of the fact that they have so much, bands have like lanes, right? This band owns the pool. Like they really do.
Yeah,
like they exactly. Do everything. They do it all. There's rockers, there's ballads. They make you happy. They make you sad. They make you scared. They make you angry. Like it's all here. Like it literally is all here, and it's all on this record. Sheer Heart Attack, and all in 40 odd minutes.
It is incredible. Again, like when I think about albums, I always think it's going to be like an hour plus. And then when I see these albums and they're like, under 40. Actually, just real quick, that's what I was thinking about with Rush. I was like, do people ever feel ripped off with Rush? Because they were like 40-minute to 45-minute albums, but you only got like 5 or 6 songs.
But it's kind of like every note is like, it's all quality. Like that's killer, right?
That's fair.
You know what else is really cool about this album? Is that, you've heard me talk on previous episodes about like this album sounds like it was recorded in 1972 or whatever, right? This album is almost anachronistic in that way. It doesn't sound like it exists in a time. Mm. Some of these songs sound like 80s songs, but it was recorded in 1974.
Right.
And that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
But like this was Queen showing you what they could really do for the first time. This was the establishment of the real Queen sound for me. And you kind of like almost like, that the explosion at the end of the album, like in The Lap of the Gods Ends, and it's like, that's the sound of my brain detonating after I hear like everything that I heard of the record. It's like, holy crap. Like I cannot believe I just heard all that. Queen is like the Swiss Army knife of rock, literally, right?
Unbelievable.
Like they can do it all. There's nothing they can't do.
And they went through quite a time recording this album, leading up to and during the recording process of it, with Brian May falling ill during their Mott the Hoople tour and needing to get off of that. And then they were going to go in and record this, and he wasn't even there. They recorded in 4 different studios. That's and they had to leave gaps for and then this is what you come out with. Unbelievable.
there's a class about this, and there are certain points where, like for example, Tenement Funster turns into Flick of the Wrist at the very
And
end.
you did.
I'm
never gonna try to sing actually like Freddie Mercury. Just so you
probably
guys know,
shouldn't try
on this show. I could try. You probably won't hear. You probably won't hear it. Oh, I'll be singing so high it just won't come through the microphone.
Fleeter will be able to hear it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it'll drive him nuts. Okay,
Yeah,
interrupted
he'll
you.
bark.
Check it off your bingo cards. Flick of the Wrist, Lily of the Valley. What a great friggin' combo.
Yeah. Well, do you want to go back? Let's go through the tunes. Sorry.
Let's get into them.
Yeah. So Brighton Rock kicks off the record.
I mean,
It's cool. It sounds like that. The beginning is like a little, like a circus, kind of Piccadilly Circus intro.
it is a fun tune, Brighton Rock, and just, I mean, even that. Oh, Rock of Ages. It's just like friggin' euphoric, you know? And it just, you start, like they were making these songs before like We Are the Champions, you know, these kinds of tunes that you could just sing along with. Like, wow.
There's a lot of artistry in this for me. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like they're just throwing the paint on the canvas and kind of moving it around and seeing, you know, where it seems to fit best. And like, it's just kind of like this very loose. I love that.
You know, it's funny because you said this about some bands before. It's like they couldn't, you know, I know we talk about Metallica. Like some people, like at the time, bands like Metallica, they couldn't do like what Metallica was doing. And I feel like after listening to this album, I'm like, nobody could ever do what Queen has ever done. Like I feel like we have to end the show after this album because like we can't go anywhere. We can't go anywhere after this.
I deliberately picked another album after this, and we'll get to it at the end of the show.
Okay.
That is almost in contrast with this one, because you can't pick another one close to this except not even Moving Pictures. Like you just the thing about Queen is that, like I said, like they do it all.
I mean, it's theatrical too, right? I mean, that's kind of also why I'm surprised a little bit at how much I like this, because, you know, I said of some Bowie stuff, it seemed very like stage play, and like I'm not a big fan of the theater. I'm not a big fan of stage plays, but you know, what is it? I think it's In the Lap of the Gods, where it starts with that ridiculous falsetto, and I'm like, usually I'd be like, what the? I guess I still am kind of like, maybe not my favorite part. But what it leads into is it's incredible. I mean, this whole album feels like a total stage show, but it's a good stage show.
a very good one. And I knew that you would like this, especially coming off that AC/DC show that we did, because, you know, to your point, like it's AC/DC they stay in their lane, right? Very much so.
Although I will say, I've heard Killer Queen. It's almost like You Shook Me. Killer Queen is a song that I'm just not a fan of anymore. I loved it at the time. I could tell you I loved it when I heard it the first time, and the second time, and the third time. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't need Killer Queen. And maybe I need to understand it more, but I don't.
I know exactly what you're saying. I think that the fact that Killer Queen plays on classic rock radio as much as it does adds this kind of veneer to it that makes it less approachable, right?
Yeah.
Like as it does with You Shook Me All Night Long and Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin and other songs of that ilk. And it's a shame, because when you have to really concentrate to kind of get past that when you listen to it, and that's a shame in itself. But when you do that and you listen to the song, you notice things like, for example, there's two bass lines in this song. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Nope.
There's two separate basses playing at the same time. Like who has done that before?
Look, don't get me wrong. Like the guitar line as well in Killer Queen, the way the song is incredible. Like the song is fantastic. I know that when it comes on, I'm kind of like, first thing I want to do is move on to Tenement Funster, because I just know that the next three songs, this whole like amalgam of music coming at me after Killer Queen,
Yep.
is what it is. Like I've just like I was giddy. I was like, by the time I was like the fourth or fifth time through the album, I was kind of like, okay, I just want to start the album at Tenement Funster. Go.
Yeah, no, I could see that.
Yeah.
But see, Tenement Funster is kind of a declaration to people who see Queen as like a Bohemian Rhapsody band, right? Or like the We Will Rock You band.
Okay.
This is quite different, and this is like real kind of guttural rock.
Yeah.
You know, Roger Taylor sings it.
Okay.
The drummer. And he's got a damn good voice, by the way.
Totally.
It's not just a mail-in kind of, can I sing a song? He's good.
Yes.
Like he's got a great voice, right?
100%.
He kills it.
I wasn't sure who it was. I knew it couldn't have been Freddie. I mean, I know Axl. We talked about like Axl can like change his voice up a little bit, but I didn't think that Freddie was.
No, this is definitely Roger Taylor's. He wrote the song, I think.
It gave me Daltrey sounds. I actually almost thought that it was Roger Daltrey that was singing this at first. To me, I was getting like a story of like a musician or somebody who was into music, and maybe this is true. I don't know what it is, but you know, kind of becoming a musician, starting, you know, going out to bars and playing and give me a good old guitar and and kind of turning into a musician, and then flick of the wrist turns into this musician signing, you know, his life over to a label or to somebody to like kind of run him. That's what I was getting out of it. I don't know.
I just want to say one more time that transition between these two songs when Funster is just kind of resolving, and then you hear that first piano line, like the introduction to Flick of the Wrist is like magic. The whole all three of these. And you hear other things like that. There's a little kind of very subtle drum fill in there, like just, you know, for people who love music and you haven't discovered this yet, sit down and shut everything else off and just listen to that little passage, and you'll be rewarded. Like it's just like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
Gushing, man. I love this record so much.
The nice thing too is when I was listening to this, right, I put it on. And then I don't look at the list of songs. I put it on and then it goes away. So when these songs played, I was caught off guard when I looked at the fact that they were 3 songs, one after the other. I thought it was all one song. Because then I had to be like, where does this begin? Like, where was the one thing that I was listening? I thought it was all one song.
It's seamless, and the changes and the sophistication in the composition is masterclass stuff.
And again, Brian May absent for like the majority of the recording of all of these songs.
That's right. But you know what? Bless the guys in Queen. They actually made space for him. In like Killer Queen, for example, they left a little bit where he could play a guitar piece.
And great guitar pieces for sure. I mean, and like, I guess he really discovered a renewed sense of love for playing the guitar being in the hospital, because he had been doing it for so long that then he kind of got away from it being in the hospital, and then somebody brought him an acoustic guitar, and that's kind of all he was doing while he was in the hospital. So he was like, man, like, you know what, now he went into this album with this new love and new like renewed sense of purpose as a musician.
And he wrote "Now I'm Here" in the hospital. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Like that's kind of a it's a hit. I think people know it, but it's not like a "We Will Rock You," you know? And this, when you hear this, it's got that kind of like cool kind of rock aspect about it. It strikes me as the kind of music that Kiss tried to write but couldn't. You know, that guitar passage, it just kind of like do like it's like a really cool kind of, I'm not doing it any justice right now, but just
try one more time. Yeah. Sorry, I missed it. What was that? Yeah. No, I get you.
You know what I'm talking about though, right? Yes. That cool riff that kind of just emerges from that the intro. I hear failed Kiss songs in there. I hate to say that, and it's nasty, but it's like Kiss aspired to write a song like that, and we got what we got from Kiss. They would probably tell you the same thing.
We got what we got from Kiss.
No, we did.
Oh man,
Gene Simmons would admit that, wouldn't he?
Great line. I want to get it now. I'm here. I just want to say, Lily of the Valley is probably got some.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I think
I jumped ahead.
Man, some of like the most like emotionally stirring vocals from Freddie here. Like I'm like, oh my god, like why am I upset? Like why am I crying right now? Like, what's happening? Like these are the melodies, these are the notes, these are the things where I was like, I feel like I've never listened to music before because of this song and the way he sings it, the way they you just have to listen to it. If you don't know Lily of the Valley, if you've never heard Lily of the Valley, if you're watching the show, you've obviously heard Lily of the Valley, but if you haven't, frig, wow.
I would urge on that topic, if you have not heard this record, do yourself a massive favor and go out and get it.
Yeah.
Stream it, whatever you need to do. Listen to this record 10 times.
Yes.
Your life will be better for
totally. 100%.
It truly will.
100%. It'll come, and it's just like, no matter what, it's the right time for this album. And like Lily of the Valley, it's a song that I was like, we were driving to the store today and I just had to put it on. I was like, of all the songs on the album, I was like, I need to listen to Freddie sing this song right now. I need to hear these. So anyways, that's what
I mean about this record though. Like it's got everything, right? Like it goes from one end all the way to the other and up and down and back. And like, it's ridiculous. There's another song like that, that we're going to get to later in the record that like, it just crushes me.
You. And then what it transitions into, it's fantastic. Now I'm Here is incredible. You know what I thought it was actually at first, that opening riff, and I'm probably sure this came before that, but the Cars. What's the Cars song? Boom, boom, boom. You don't mind me coming here, wasting all my time. I guess you're just what I needed. Right, that's what it is. Just what I needed. Yeah. That was kind of like that opening riff. That's what I thought of. Oh, damn it, I missed this. Tenement Funster, real quick. Tenement Funster, that opening riff. Did Metallica take that to do Nothing Else Matters?
It's possible.
It's quite, isn't it? Okay. That was one other thing. I was listening to it. And I'm like, this could be, because they were pretty inspired by these Queen guys fans. Too.
Well, you know what? Think about the great bands that came after.
Right.
Like Guns N' Roses. Hugely inspired by Queen. When you listen to, I know we didn't get to these, but Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Queen is all over that record.
Oh, okay.
With the piano.
Oh, wow. I'll have to look into it then.
Yeah. Big Queen fans.
Wow.
Who else? Def Leppard were massive Queen fans. So like all the music that came after this, you can hear the Queen in it if you listen closely.
How is a musician being famous after this album or just after Queen, now that I'm understanding it? Like, are you not inspired by this group, by what they do and how they do it? Like, it's crazy.
That's it. I think that the only reason Queen is similar to Rush in that way. I think the only reason why you wouldn't be a Queen fan is if you're intimidated by the kind of vastness of the music.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and like I said, people like lanes, right? So Van Halen has a lane, Aerosmith has a lane, AC/DC has a very distinct lane. Queen is vast. And so you might hear Bohemian Rhapsody and go,
right,
not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Still love that. I still love Bohemian Rhapsody. Every time that song comes on, it's still fantastic.
I don't love it the same way I love this record, though.
Right. Totally. Queen obviously has their sound. It's the Queen sound, and sometimes I did have to find myself getting past it because, again, the Queen sound I know is from those songs that I mentioned: Fat Bottom Girls, Killer Queen, Bicycle, like all those songs that are over, like you that sound, the guitar, the key. So I did find myself needing to be like, look, yes, that is Queen sound, but there's so much more to it. Even though you are these other songs you're not a big fan of, and so I did have to kind of get myself over that hump a little bit. So I would say too, like if you have heard Queen in those singles, and that's all you know of them, you do like just again, we'll just broken record here. Listen to this album,
dive deeper,
and understand the fact that is the Queen sound, but why it works and why it's so incredible for the rest of their songs, especially on this album. because I don't know anything beyond the album.
Queen is the perfect example of why you should not exist on greatest hits. You need to get the records, and you need to dig into the deep cuts of those records. You must, if you're a rock
absolutely
fan. You absolutely, there's no not doing that. You must do it. Yeah. In the Lap of the Gods, Alex.
I mean, again, like also a life-changing song, I guess, right? I mean,
right. Just there's a richness, right? There's a richness and a class about this album, and this is one of the better examples of that. That we talked about the high note at the beginning of that song. That's not Freddie Mercury, by the way. That's Roger Taylor again. Can you believe that? He sings that note.
Wow. That
crazy high note, one of the highest notes probably that I can think of in rock.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
That's him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, cool.
Totally. I don't have much to say about the song, to be honest. I love it. Like, again, everything they do, like,
you know what I like about this? So at the very end of the record, there's a song called In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. And you'd think that it's kind of almost like redux, right? Maybe it's a continuation, or maybe it's related, but it's not at all. Like, not even, they have nothing to do with each other. And I like how it ends. It goes and goes into Stone Cold Crazy.
Yeah, they do a great job of segueing and transitioning into different songs. So obviously with the medley is just perfection and obviously intentional. So yeah, then everything else is just it is the way that it goes into each other, and just the way that, again, it's like you know, it's a roller coaster ride, this album too, eh? Like, it totally is incredible what they take you through all of these.
That's another thing that we need to talk about, is the production of this album. Like, the guitar is it's not too much, but it's in your face, like, especially this riff.
You know, it's funny. When I think about Bohemian Rhapsody, like, it's a pretty rockin' tune at its points, right? But I was never like, Queen's got riffs. Like, when I heard Stone Cold Crazy, I'm like, or even Now I'm Here. Like, I didn't think Queen had these kinds of riffs. And I also didn't think that they were essentially playing punk music in 74 as well with some of this stuff. But yeah, like, the riffs in this album are, when they use them, they're like incredible.
A lot of people kind of say this was almost a precursor to thrash metal, and Metallica, as you know, covered this.
Yep.
They covered Stone Cold Crazy and changed the lyrics and made them more
dark,
kind of Metallica-like.
Yeah.
But the riff in this is a thrash metal riff. And I always kind of laugh when people say, whoa, you know, the first thrash metal song was really this or this or this. But this was 74, and this was pretty thrashy.
Yeah,
so
right?
This gets my vote as one of the songs that maybe inspired thrash metal.
That's interesting. Just because my sense of thrash metal is Metallica or, you know, Anthrax or something like that, right? Then I'm just kind of like, I don't know. But I guess I gotta think about it again in the context of the eras. But yeah, I guess it could be.
Well, I think it's a blueprint, right? So people like James Hetfield heard this riff and said, you know, chug, 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 chug.
Right. They just
you know what I mean?
dropped their tuning into C, and then just made
potentially,
it longer.
But it's the chug chug, right? It's not like just chords. There's that picking. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Convinced. Get your tissue boxes out, folks.
Oh, right. So go ahead.
Dear friends, I honestly, I just, like, you again, it's a speechless song. You just are like kind of left there, honestly, almost thinking about life.
You know what I think about when I hear this song? I think about what the band must have thought of this song after Freddie passed. right? Brian May wrote this song and the lyrics. Like, it's very short. I think it's only, what is it, like 50 seconds or something like that. It's very... And on a separate note, the Black Sabbath inserts, right? This reminds me of just kind of the way that the 70s worked, that you would just kind of, there was no, done all the songs had to be 305 radio hits. So you could just put like a little bit in and fit it in between two of the songs. And that was cool. And it works here. But it makes me a little sad, to think about Brian May after Freddie passed. This song definitely went through his mind, I'm sure. And the lyrics just kill you,
Yeah.
Because literally it is about that. We're sad now, but let's try and start over.
Yeah.
And maybe we won't be sad anymore.
Yeah. It's beautiful, man. I say that the most kind of, most seriousness, as you can say. It's beautiful, man.
It's awesome.
It's just beautiful. It's beautiful, man. But I think that again, they kind of leave you just sort of in this like, and then the acoustic of Misfire kicks in, and all of a sudden you're like,
so, oh, dude, we need to talk about this. This is like one of the magical moments that makes this record for me.
Okay.
Because you have this fucking heart-wrenching song like Dear Friends that doesn't last for a long time, but it just reaches into your chest and pulls your heart out, right? And you're kind of left sitting there going like, oh my God. And then this fun summer song comes on that's acoustic. And like, talk about sequencing. So what the hell? You're listening to this record and then this bouncy summer anthem comes on.
I know. You know what, man? It's funny. When that happened, I honestly went, of course you did. It was almost like I wasn't even surprised that it happened, but I was happy it happened. But I was almost just like, of course you did. Yeah, you would follow up a song like Dear Friends with Misfire. Like this great acoustic riff.
It doesn't even sound like a Queen song, right? When in the hits or in the context of greatest hits, it doesn't sound like a Queen song really. It's a John Deacon song. The bass player wrote this song,
right?
By the way,
right.
And I think he plays the acoustic guitar on this. But it's just like this flouncy kind of fun, carefree song.
Perfect,
right?
Man. It's one of my favorites on the album. It definitely is.
Me too. That's funny that you say that, because it's definitely top 3 for me on this record. Yeah. I love it.
It's incredible.
And I wonder if it is because of where it's placed in the sequence. Do you think so?
You would agree with that. I would have to agree with that.
Maybe it is, right? And maybe, Alex, maybe that is the power of sequencing.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's fair. That's a fair point, man. That's it. Right. Everybody's just. Yeah. No. Exactly.
I know. See the explosion at the end of the record. That's my brain.
Your brain.
Right.
That's it. Okay. But bring back that Leroy Brown. What did you think when you heard this too?
So good.
Yeah.
Again, like it's just like, so you go from Dear Friends to Misfire to bring back that Leroy Brown. It's like Queen can do it all.
Yeah.
Man. It's now they're just like rubbing it in your face, right? Now they're like, yeah, you think we can't do this? Check this out. Bring back that Leroy Brown, right? But this is really kind of, for me, Freddie Mercury coming into that theatrical vaudevillian thing, right? Because he was always that guy, and you saw that later on. This was his entry point into that, like do,
right?
You know?
Okay.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I could see people scoffing at this, going, it doesn't fit on the record. This is bullshit. And like, why is it on here? But it's fun and it's great. And it's like, by the way, super hard to pull off musically. Listen to the drum patterns in this, and listen to Roger Taylor's feet as he plays the kick. It's like it's fast, and he nails it.
And what is it, a uke banjo or something that?
Yeah, that's Brian May.
Brian May's on?
Yeah, like it's so great, right?
Yeah.
It's just just makes you smile. It's awesome.
You're right. I mean, like I'll be honest, I do feel like I'm like I guess it fits on the album in the context of it being Queen.
Mm-hmm.
and they can do that. Otherwise, it does kind of, it's sort of like it stands out as like what's this doing on here?
I think that initially you might think that, but as you get to familiarize more with Queen and what Queen is capable of, then you go, of course, to your point about Misfire, of course, this is here. Right now. And the cool thing about this too is that who's the guy who wrote Bad Leroy Brown? Is that Jim Croce?
Yeah, Jim Croce. Jim Croce. Yeah.
Had just died earlier in the year. And this is almost like a little kind of tribute to him, right? They're not saying bring back Jim, but they're saying bring back, the idea of Jim Croce, really. The next song is a song that should not work, but it works somehow.
But it works.
This song, again, I made that point earlier in the show about anachronistic. Like, this song doesn't sound like it was written in 1974. This almost sounds like an 80s song to me.
Yes, right.
Do you find that?
Yeah, definitely it does.
Yeah.
What based on what I know about music at this point, but yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it's a 70s tune.
Yeah. At first,
or something that Queen would do.
Well, right, exactly. Like, it just seems like it's kind of lost. Like, it's weird, but then the more you listen to it, the more you're drawn in. And the cool thing about it is that there's these little key changes, if you notice. So there's this progression that goes on, and then the key drops, and you're waiting for the key not to drop. You're kind of following the path, and then the key drops, and you get pulled kind of back a little bit.
Is that the clinking on the sound? The key dropping? Is that what I hear? The clinking on the ground of the floor?
The sound is,
Is that what happened? Yeah.
You're a dork.
You've got these great points, and I can just take it, throw them at the tree.
Yeah, you do. You just fucking throw fucking muck on them.
Was that? Does that sound of muck hitting the mic? That just hit. Yeah.
I gotta find somebody else to do the show with.
No, you don't.
Somebody who appreciates this.
This is the whole point that I don't appreciate it. You got to tell me teach me how to appreciate it, Brent. All right.
Are you standing up? Like, what are you doing there? With your
standing?
Do that again. Do what you were just doing. Turn. So you're doing like a little. You look like Betty Page from the pinup days. There.
Oh yeah.
What do you have your hand on your hip back there?
Yeah.
Look at you. Wow.
See? There it is back there.
I knew it.
Well, why else would my arm be? Doesn't matter. Friggin'.
What do you do? Is there like a photo shoot going on at the same time we're doing this show?
So we got cameras rolling, Brent.
Yeah. All right. We on Scotch on the Rocks, we were talking about like how important it is to listen to albums, and people stream now and they make playlists and stuff like that. If you're going to listen to an album, listen to this album, because it's got an identity and it's got a feel, and it's got a richness that you will appreciate. In the same way that you did. You didn't look at the titles, you just kind of listened to the album, and it was like this tremendous experience. That's how I feel about this record. It's a tremendous experience to listen to.
Well, and then capping it off with In the Lap of the Gods Revisited is one hell of an experience. Yeah. You somehow feel part of Queen with this song.
It's funny that you say that, because apparently this was a song that Freddie Mercury wrote as a bid to get the audience to sing along with him, because that was something that he always wanted to do as an entertainer. He wanted to sing songs, but he wanted to be able to kind of put the mic out and have the audience sing along with him, right? As you know, he succeeded with We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, and there were plenty of anthems later on. But this was his first attempt at an anthem, and apparently it didn't go well. And you can hear that anthemic thing, right? It's like a sing-along kind of, particular.
La, la, la. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But apparently it didn't, it did okay, but it didn't do nearly as well as what would, what was to come.
Wow.
But, the guitar mix in this song is ridiculous. Like it's bang on perfect. It's not too much. It's thick, and it's like it stands out. The production of this song and this record are just stellar. What a record, man. Like, what a record.
5 out of 5, 10 out of 10.
I was going to say
20 out of 20, 100 out of 100.
I challenge you not to give this a 5. Like, I defy you not to give this a 5.
Anybody can tell me why I don't give this album 5 out of 5, please tell me. So how are we gonna match this album? What's next?
So I deliberately went the other way with this.
We're not matching. Okay? I shouldn't say we're gonna match it, but
we're not. You can't.
Never.
I'll be impossible. Very honest. Unless you do another Queen record, and even if you did, you can't.
Yeah.
So here's what we're gonna do. Okay. In the spirit of rock and roll, we're gonna go the other way.
All right.
We're gonna do Nazareth, Hair of the Dog.
Okay. Interesting.
All right.
Here we go.
And that's not to say like it's a good record. This record kind of exists in the darker corners of rock and roll. It's good.
All right.
It's not sheer heart attack.
Okay. I got to get that out of my head. Again, folks, if you recall the AC/DC show, I know that I shouldn't be comparing these albums to each other. They're different genres, they're different music, or, I'm not trying to compare them to each other. I'm just depending on how each one makes me feel. It's a feeling thing. That's really all I can go by with this, which to your point is not a bad thing, but that's, totally. So I am not going to be comparing this to sheer heart attack. But now again, Bobo Quisp says it's gaining perspective. I have a perspective. Yep. I also have this like Queen. I get it. Here's what music sounds like, and here's everything else. Go listen to everything else. That's where I'm at now.
There you go. Wow. You're a Queen advocate.
I mean, after this album, I don't know. I'm a little worried to listen to the other stuff, like aside from 1 and 2 that I've kind of heard, just because I don't want to be. I don't know.
That's my concern about the show, is that we do, one of the really truly great records.
Yeah.
You have to keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going. This wasn't going to be the season finale or the series finale, folks.
Well, I would say that if, things were going to end, we'd probably want to end it with sheer heart attack.
Right. No. Right. We'll end it with Spice World. All right, man. Well, it's been a slice. We'll be back next week with Nazareth, Hair of the Dog.
I threw up in my mouth a little bit there.
I don't blame you. Cheers, Brent.
Cheers, brother.